Hey there, I'm Anthony Romano, and the title of this video is, Why did Golden Era Bodybuilders Train for the Pump? I'm going to get into this video. I've discussed with some of these experts on Golden Era Bodybuilding. I've talked a lot about my own research of Golden Era Bodybuilding, but there's a lot of key principles that you might be doing wrong today that these guys had figured out decades ago. So let's get into this. So, why did Golden Era Bodybuilders train for the pump?
The pump.
They trained for the pump because the pump is hypertrophy, right? Many of you already know this. Hypertrophy is where your body is experiencing time under tension and challenge to the muscle. And it's not necessarily implying a 1 rep max or a 2 rep max. That's how you tear more muscle fibers, but all the research has shown that hypertrophy is what sets aside bodybuilding training from powerlifting training. Powerlifting is mostly about lifting the strongest weight you can for short reps. Well, fewer reps. But bodybuilding training is about maximizing the amount of lactate that enters your muscles and blood and filling up the muscle. Because when you fill up the muscle, you not only tear the fibers, but then you make an adaptive measure so that your body realizes, holy shit, there's so much fluid in here, we have to grow to accommodate this. So that is the principle here as to why bodybuilders from that era would train for the pump. So when we're looking at how you should train nowadays, if your goal is getting mass and size, you absolutely do need to focus on improving your strength. Because you have to remember, muscle size is a byproduct of strength. If you're sitting at your desk all day lifting your computer, your laptop, you're not going to make any muscle gains. Why? Because it's not enough stress. You need the middle ground, the optimal amount of stress that isn't going to put pressure on your joints, but is still going to allow you challenge so that when you lift it, it creates micro tears in the muscle fibers, and basically from there, creating more of that pump slams more fluid and especially lactate into the muscle, which causes the muscle gain because it has to grow to accommodate all that fluid. So that is why Golden Era Bodybuilders train for the pump, and that's why you should do it today. But the final notes I'll make on this is that the only thing required for muscle growth is a positive nitrogen balance and adequate stimulus. So if you're trying to grow while you're cutting, this is absolutely possible. And if you look at my videos, I try to stay lean year round and build muscle slowly. Now, when you're staying lean, you're not going to notice an inch on your arm every few months because there's no extra water retention. There's no extra, fat growing on the arm, right? Or limb in question here. But keto is a great way to do this. Intermittent fasting is a fantastic way to do this. And carb backloading is also my other preferred way of doing this. There's a lot of other ways you can get progress muscle building while you're cutting, and this is what a lot of the Golden Era bodybuilders would do. They basically didn't have this sort of quote-unquote bulking and cutting season. They would basically have an off season where they would, chill a bit, relax, go to the pancake house more, and then from there they would spend the rest of the year basically eating lots of ketogenic foods. If you watch my video, The Keto Manifesto, you'll learn more about that. But essentially, those dieting practices they had were basically ketogenic, and they would simply eat more food when they're trying to build muscle, and they would simply eat less food of the ketogenic variety most of the time when they were cutting. Now granted, there's loads of fluctuations on what the dieting practices were at certain times, certain years, but a lot of it came from a gentleman called Vince Gironda, and I have other videos on him if you're unfamiliar with him. But why did Golden Era bodybuilders train for the pump? Because the pump is what actually builds muscle size in tandem with, steady, progressive strength gains. Now, on that note, positive nitrogen balance, getting enough protein, that's all it means. Okay, get enough protein, more than you excrete. That's all it means. And then regardless of calorie count net for the day. That's a great way to manage your protein intake, but you have to realize you can still get enough protein intake without necessarily slamming down 4 pizzas, right? You don't have to be in this calorie surplus, but that's one good way to ensure that you are in a muscle building state. Okay, you can watch my other videos to learn more about my sort of quantitative, qualitative analysis here, but basically the quantity is not everything. That's it for this video. While you're here, if you do want to build muscle while you're cutting, Keto Shred program on my website. This is my pinnacle Mona Lisa project for fat burning, and I've been using the ketogenic diet for a decade and put all the best fat loss protocols that I've experimented with, coached people to use in that program. It can change your life, and I promise you that, or else your money back. Just send me an email, happily refund you if that's an issue, but I haven't had anybody ask for that at all. Now, that being said, the main goal would be cutting, but if you want to slowly build muscle, there's protocols for that in the Keto Shred program. I highly encourage you to go check it out on romanoketo.com and get the latest deals on it. Okay, that being said, if you want to work one-on-one consultation style, I offer 60-minute Skype calls where we get to the bottom of absolutely everything that you might have on your mind. And from there, I'll end up taking a couple days to make you a personalized action plan with all the best strategies so that you know exactly what to do. And if you want to go even deeper than that, I offer coaching, which I highly encourage you to submit an application for on my website, because what we'll do is we will be in communication for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'll always respond within a day, and that's a higher level of communication than most online trainers will offer you, but also most personal trainers who charge you thousands and thousands of dollars, just for a couple weeks. So my pricing, I believe, is far more appropriate for these goals, and it allows us to be in communication all the time, whether your goal is cutting fat with keto fasting, bulking, building muscle, fixing, neuropathy in your body, whatever the goal is. We can get to the bottom of it, and I offer free consultation calls if you're interested. Check out my website, romanoketo.com. Also, follow me on Instagram. I give out plenty of other tips here and there and have some cool posts I like to think. Like this video, subscribe. Anthony Romano, peace.